AITA for taking back the Christmas gift after the kid complained it wasn't as good as the others? Let me take you back a bit. A few years ago, my brother married an incredible woman who already had kids from her previous relationship. Now, I'm bringing this up because it's important to the story, but I want to make it clear from the get-go, this isn't about the dynamics of our blended family. We've always treated her kids like our own, and up until recently, I thought things were going great. That was, of course, until this whole mess unfolded, and I need to get it off my chest. My siblings and I are pretty close, and we have this tradition in our family. When any of us turns 16, we get a car. It wasn't about giving the fanciest, flashiest car, but it was a big deal. Our parents always said that turning 16 was a milestone that deserved to be celebrated in a grand way. As time went on, we continued this tradition for the next generation. Whenever one of our nieces or nephews hit 16, we'd pitch in and get them a car, usually a brand new one, since most of us are financially comfortable and able to splurge a little. Now, my brother and his wife aren't quite in the same financial situation as the rest of us, and that's okay. We've always understood that, and there's no judgment. We've supported them however we could. But here's the thing, their oldest, who was about to turn 16, is a fantastic kid. When we realized they wouldn't be able to afford a car for her, we all agreed we would step in and help. This wasn't just about maintaining the tradition, it was about showing her that she is just as much a part of this family as anyone else. So, we all agreed to pitch in and I was tasked with finding the car. After a lot of discussions, we decided it made more sense to buy a solid used car instead of a brand new one. That way, we could also cover her insurance for the first 2 years. It felt fair, practical, even. Buying a new car wasn't something we could all afford to contribute to, so a used one seemed like the perfect compromise. I found a great deal, a 3-year-old car in fantastic condition with low mileage. It wasn't the flashiest, but it was reliable, perfect for a first car. I was so excited to give it to her, sure she'd be over the moon. But boy, was I wrong. Fast forward to Christmas. We had planned to present the car as a combined Christmas and birthday gift. What should have been a joyful, heartwarming moment turned into an absolute disaster. Her reaction? Unbelievable. Instead of excitement or gratitude, she threw a full-blown tantrum. She wasn't just disappointed, she was downright rude. She demanded to know why she was being treated differently and why she wasn't getting a brand new car like her cousins did. And her mom? She didn't shut it down. Oh no! She joined in, accusing us of being unfair and treating her daughter poorly because she wasn't biologically related to us. I was stunned. Absolutely floored. To his credit, my brother was mortified. He kept apologizing, trying to get his wife and stepdaughter to stop, but they just wouldn't let it go. It didn't matter that we had also covered 2 years of insurance, a huge deal. They were fixated on the fact that the car wasn't brand new. The situation quickly spiraled. Some of my siblings tried to explain that this wasn't about favoritism. It was a compromise we had all agreed on because we were all collectively contributing. Unlike in the other situations, where individual parents bought the cars themselves, this time, we were pooling resources. But no one was having it. The mother-daughter duo kept insisting we were being unfair. My brother's wife even accused me, of being cheap and biased because I was the one who picked out the car. At that point, I was done. I snapped. I told them flat out that if they were going to act so entitled, then the kid wouldn't get anything at all. I said I was going to sell the car and give everyone their money back. Yes, I said it in anger, and no, I didn't consult anyone beforehand. But honestly, I couldn't take the disrespect anymore. And to my surprise, all of my siblings backed me up. They agreed that this level of entitlement didn't deserve a reward. But that didn't stop the drama. My brother's wife lost it. She accused me of humiliating her family, of treating her daughter differently because she wasn't blood. Since then, she's taken to social media, spinning the story to make herself and her daughter look like the victims. She's been posting about how her stepdaughter was humiliated by her evil in-laws, claiming we're treating them like second-class family members. Meanwhile, my brother, who is the most kind-hearted, humble person I know, is stuck in the middle, trying to keep the peace. But let's be honest, it's clear he's torn. And now, of course, my parents are involved, embarrassed by the whole mess. They're trying to smooth things over, suggesting I sell the used car, pitch in more money, and buy a brand new one to make everything right. But I refused. I told them there was no way I was rewarding that kind of behavior. I wasn't going to spend another dime on a child who couldn't even say thank you for a generous gift. Now, there's a huge rift in the family. My parents are upset with me. My brother's wife is still fuming. And the siblings? Well, they're split between wanting to move on or standing firm in our decision. Personally, I feel like I did the right thing. Sure, maybe I acted out of anger in the moment, but gratitude shouldn't be optional, especially when people are going out of their way to be generous. Maybe I'm stubborn. Maybe I'm vindictive. But I just can't help but wonder, was I wrong? Should I have handled this differently, or am I justified in sticking to my guns? Update! I got a call from my brother yesterday. From the moment I heard his voice, I could tell something was off. That tone, that cautious, strained tone people use when they're bracing for impact, that was him. I wasn't exactly thrilled to hear from him, especially after everything that went down over Christmas, but I decided to listen. Maybe he was calling to smooth things over or just check in. But no! Instead, he dropped a bombshell. His wife now says she won't attend any future family gatherings unless we apologize publicly for what happened at Christmas and agree to buy her daughter a brand new car. I was floored. After all the drama, after everything that's gone down, you'd think they'd want to de-escalate, right? But no, here we are. I told my brother flat out, I'm not apologizing. Her behavior, and her daughter's, was entitled and ungrateful. I'm not about to reward that. Not now. Not ever. My brother tried his usual peacemaker role, but I wasn't budging. I felt bad for him. He's stuck between his wife, who's on a warpath, and the rest of us, who are just done. But that doesn't mean I'm going to cave just to make his life easier. And here's where things take a turn. Apparently, my brother's wife has been telling her extended family about what happened, except she's leaving out the key details. Like the fact we all pitched in for a car they couldn't afford or that her daughter threw a tantrum instead of saying thank you. She's painting us as a cruel, snobby family that deliberately mistreated them. Now her relatives are getting involved. Some are reaching out, accusing us of being elitist, saying families should support each other. Others are making passive-aggressive comments on social media, implying that we care only about money and appearances. It's maddening. They're hearing only her side of the story, and from what they're saying, you'd think we handed her daughter a lump of coal instead of a perfectly good car and insurance money. The worst part? My brother, desperate to keep the peace, is asking me to just give in. He begged me to let it go, buy the new car, and avoid further drama. I couldn't believe it. I love him, but in that moment, I was angry at him, too. Why should I be the one to fix this mess? Why is it on me, or any of us, to bend over backward to please someone who clearly doesn't appreciate everything we've already done? I tried to stay calm, to keep my emotions in check, but I couldn't help myself. I told him, as firmly as I could, that I wasn't going to budge. If his wife wants to skip family gatherings, that's her choice. If her extended family wants to think the worst of us, well, that's on them. But I wasn't about to reward entitled behavior. I wasn't going to apologize for standing my ground. Of course, this conversation only added fuel to the fire. My parents, already upset by the fallout, are now more insistent than ever that we need to smooth things over. They hate the tension, the drama. I get it, they're good people who just want everyone to get along. But their solution? They want to pay the difference for a new car themselves. They've told me they'll cover the cost if it means restoring harmony in the family. And while I understand their perspective, I was blunt with them. They can do whatever they want with their money, but I won't be part of it. I won't enable this kind of behavior, and I won't let them guilt me into going along with a decision I fundamentally disagree with. Now, my parents are frustrated with me too. They think I'm being stubborn, that I'm making things worse by refusing to compromise. My siblings, on the other hand, are still on my side, for now, but even they're starting to grow tired of the drama. One of my sisters told me she's tempted to just let our parents handle it and be done with it, even though she doesn't agree with buying a new car either. And honestly, I can't blame her. This whole situation has been exhausting for everyone involved. Meanwhile, the used car is still sitting in my driveway. I haven't had the time to sell it yet. Update 2. Things just got a lot more complicated. I was talking to one of my siblings, let's call her Linda, when she casually dropped a bombshell that completely changed everything I thought I knew about this mess. Up until now, I assumed my brother's wife and her daughter were upset about the used car because they felt slighted, maybe because they couldn't afford something as nice as the rest of us. But Linda told me something that left me absolutely speechless. Apparently, before Christmas, she had a casual chat with my brother's wife, and during that conversation, my brother's wife mentioned, offhandedly, that the car we were buying for her daughter would be used, but in excellent condition. Linda said that my brother's wife didn't seem bothered by it at all. In fact, she even said something like, "Oh, that's so generous of you all," and gave no indication it would be a problem. This was weeks before Christmas, so if she had any issues with the plan, she had plenty of time to speak up. But instead, she let us all go through with it, only to throw a tantrum when it was finally gifted. At first, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Why pretend to be okay with the idea of a used car, only to flip the script so dramatically later? That's when Linda told me she'd done some digging, and what she found out completely blew my mind. Apparently, my brother's wife had been talking to her ex, the daughter's biological father, before Christmas. He had promised their daughter that if she didn't like the car we got her, he would buy her a brand new one. Yes, you read that right. He promised to buy a new car without even knowing what we were giving her. It was as if he assumed we'd fail to meet her expectations. But here's the kicker, he didn't follow through. When the daughter threw a tantrum over the used car and turned to him, expecting him to make good on his promise, he bailed. Whether he couldn't afford it or just didn't want to, I don't know. But instead of being angry at him for not keeping his word, my brother's wife redirected all that anger and frustration onto us. Suddenly, the used car wasn't just a used car, it was a symbol of how we, her in-laws, had somehow failed her and her daughter, while her ex got off scot-free. This revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. All the drama, the accusations, the social media posts, the demands for a public apology, and, of course, the brand new car, it wasn't about the car at all. It was about her trying to one-up her ex and save face when he let her down. Instead of addressing the real issue, she decided to make us the scapegoats. I couldn't keep this to myself. I called my brother, confronted him with what Linda had told me. At first, he was quiet. I could tell he was debating whether to deny it or come clean. Eventually, he admitted he had suspected as much but didn't want to bring it up because he thought it would make things worse. He apologized again, but this time it was more sincere than before. But I could tell he was drained. He's stuck in the middle of all this, trying to keep his wife happy while also dealing with the fallout within the family. I feel for him, I really do. But at the same time, I'm furious he didn't come clean about this sooner. If he had, maybe we could have handled things differently. I shared this new information with my other siblings, and they were just as angry as I was. If anything, this revelation solidified their stance. We should sell the car and cut ties with my brother's wife until she apologizes. They're furious that we've all been dragged into this unnecessary drama because of her issues with her ex. One of my siblings even suggested that we stop inviting her to family gatherings altogether until she makes amends. But I'm not sure how realistic that is, considering how much my brother is trying to keep the peace. As for my parents, I haven't told them yet. I know I probably should, but I also know how much this will hurt them. They've been trying so hard to play mediator and bring everyone back together. Finding out that my brother's wife manipulated this entire situation will devastate them. My parents are the type of people who always try to see the best in others, and I think they've been holding on to the hope that this is just a misunderstanding that will resolve with time. I'm not sure how they'll handle the truth, but I feel like they need to know. Meanwhile, the car is still sitting in my driveway. Every time I see it, I get more frustrated. It's a great car, a car any 16-year-old should be thrilled to have. And yet, it's become this symbol of entitlement, manipulation, and family drama. I haven't had the time or the energy to put it up for sale, but I know I need to do it soon. At this point, I just want it gone. I want to give everyone their money back and wash my hands of the whole situation. But even if I sell the car, the underlying issues remain. My brother's wife has shown that she's willing to manipulate the truth and drag the entire family into her personal vendettas. My brother, despite his good intentions, is enabling her behavior by not standing up to her. And now, thanks to her social media posts and her extended family's involvement, this drama has spiraled beyond our immediate family. I don't know how we come back from this. For now, I'm just trying to take things one step at a time, sell the car, talk to my parents. Update 3. I sold the car. After all the drama, it felt like the only way to put an end to this never-ending fiasco. It wasn't an easy decision. Selling it felt like admitting defeat in some way, like letting the entitled behavior win. But I also couldn't stand the sight of it sitting in my driveway, a constant reminder of the chaos it had caused. Once it was gone, I distributed the money back to my siblings who had pitched in, and for a brief moment, I felt a sense of relief. I thought, finally, this is over. But it wasn't. Not even close. Yesterday, I got something completely unexpected, an anonymous letter in the mail. It was just a simple folded piece of paper with no return address, no clues as to who sent it. Just my name on the front, in familiar handwriting. I opened it, expecting it to be another passive-aggressive note from my brother's wife or someone from her extended family, still trying to stir the pot. But instead, what I found left me speechless. The note read, "Thank you for trying to help. I'm sorry for everything." There was no signature, but the handwriting looked suspiciously like my niece's. I sat there for a moment, staring at the words, trying to process what this meant. What does this mean? Could it really be from her? If it was, then why, and why anonymously? The questions flooded my mind, one after the other, until I felt like I might drown in them. My emotions? A whirlwind. Relief, confusion, anger, and there was even a trace of sadness. It was all too much to process in one moment. I had to find out more. Without wasting another second, I texted my brother. Did he know anything about this letter? His response was delayed, Too delayed. He left me on read, and that's not like him. My curiosity grew, gnawing at me. When he finally replied, it was cryptic. Can I call you later? That only made things worse. Why the mystery? What was going on? I couldn't help myself. I pressed him, asking, is the letter from your daughter? And after what felt like an eternity of hesitation, he finally admitted it. Yes, it was her. But then, he hit me with something that completely flipped everything I thought I knew. Apparently, my niece had been carrying around a huge weight of guilt from Christmas. She had been pressured by her mom to react the way she did, throwing a fit about the car, making a scene, demanding something more. All of that drama? It wasn't even her choice. It turns out, my brother's wife had been using the whole situation as a bargaining chip, trying to force her ex to buy their daughter a brand new car. And my poor niece, caught in the middle of her parents' feud, went along with it, despite feeling deeply uncomfortable. How terrible, right? But here's where things take a turn. Now that some time has passed, the dust has settled, and my niece is ashamed of her actions. She's angry at her mom for putting her in that position in the first place. She feels like she ruined Christmas, like she's tarnished her relationship with the entire family. And worst of all, she regrets the tantrum. She told my brother, I wish I could take it all back. Can you imagine? The weight of that? But there's more. A lot more. Brace yourself. My niece, after everything that happened, has been secretly working a part-time job after school. She's been saving every penny, determined to buy a car on her own. My brother found out when he noticed she was coming home late a few nights a week. When he asked her what was going on, she admitted it. She doesn't want to rely on anyone else. She's set on proving she's not entitled, not ungrateful, that her behavior was a mistake and she wants to make up for it. My brother was overwhelmed with pride, but also heartbroken. Heartbroken that she felt the need to go this far, to take matters into her own hands to make up for something that should have never happened in the first place. When he offered to help her buy the car, she refused. She insisted, I want to do this myself. It's important to me to show everyone I'm better than how I acted. Can you even believe that? I was torn, proud of her for owning her mistake, for showing such maturity, but furious at her mom for causing all this in the first place. None of this needed to happen. If only her mom hadn't manipulated the situation, none of it. My heart was heavy with frustration. I told my brother I was proud of his daughter, that I'd help her however I could, whether it was researching cars or negotiating a deal. I was there for her. I meant it. I could see the relief in my brother's voice, like a huge weight had been lifted. But he also admitted that things at home are still tense. His wife is holding on to this narrative that the family wronged them, and she won't let it go. Even though their daughter is trying to move on, she's still complaining to her extended family, still posting passive-aggressive things on social media, and still refusing to attend family gatherings until we apologize. I swear, just hearing about it is exhausting. I can't imagine how draining it must be for my brother. Now, as for my niece, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think there's a real chance to rebuild our relationship, to move forward together. But when it comes to her mom, I have no idea what the future holds. She's made it clear she has no interest in resolving things in a peaceful way. And honestly, I don't know if I can ever forgive her for how she's handled everything. She turned a joyful family tradition into a divisive mess, dragged us all through unnecessary drama, and manipulated her own daughter. What happened was wrong on so many levels.